can let you know when it's time. Right. There, so we can let you know. Good afternoon and welcome to UnitedTV. My name is Kemal Erkan. Today we are going to have a special session, at least for me, and I'm sure this is going to be helping many of you out there who are looking to impact our charitable work. And that's why actually we have our Chief Operating Officer of Brandywine Valley SPCA, Mike Kaviani, and he's with us. Well, I do serve as a board member. I'm one of the executive board members at Brandywine Valley. And I believe a couple years ago we had a session. It was more about our new facility in Newcastle, which is the only ICU hospital, animal hospital in the state of Delaware. And it's been a long time since we started, so at least it feels that way because every day is extremely busy for these facilities. So Mike is going to help us to better understand the nonprofit organizations, their role in the society that we live in, and as well as what SPCA is doing with our new projects in Harrington, in New Jersey, in Washington, D.C., and hopefully we'll be able to share a lot of good news with our audience. So welcome and thank you for joining us, Mike.
Absolutely, I'm excited to be here.
So my first question is going to be for those who may not be so familiar with Brandywine Valley SPCA. If we can have a quick history of the organization and the mission of Brandywine Valley.
Absolutely. So, long-standing organization. We were actually founded in 1929. Who we are today. We are really the largest animal welfare organization in the region. So we provide animal sheltering services and animal protection services to Chester County and Delaware County in Pennsylvania. We have the contract with the state of Delaware with the Office of Animal Welfare for animal sheltering services within Delaware. Things that I'm sure we're going to talk about throughout today is some of our expanded reach as well, offering animal shelter services in Lindenwold, New Jersey, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and now in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. In addition to our animal sheltering services, providing where we provide new homes for pets, rehoming services for individuals, reuniting pets with their people. We also have our low-cost but high-quality animal health centers where we're making high-quality vet care accessible to our community. I could go on and on about all the things that we do,
so
but
you joined the organization in 2022?
Yeah, summer of 2022. Yeah.
So I think I got involved in 2021. I don't know if you know the background on that. One of our physicians, Dr. Joanna Gora, she's very involved in Seaford in Sussex County. After I was about to lose my puppy, I always call them puppy when they're at age 14.
Of course.
So as I was going through that, Dr. Gora got me involved with Adam and Tanner that time. And, we tried to find ways to kind of channel our grief to make some impactful, meaningful impact. So that's one of the things that I learned from my experience with this. So, grief is kind of like, it goes hand in hand with depression, right? So if we don't know how to actually channel those to the right places, so people can choose to do nothing and try to handle that, and usually it doesn't work. So you need to find ways to channel that energy into something, and that was my way of dealing with my own grief. And I know there are a couple places, but his name is in the Newcastle facility. And then it didn't just stay there, so we actually have, I became the first advisor board member, then went to the regular board, and now being on the executive board. understanding every day, like much better to see how much we are able to do in different places. Now, from the nonprofit organizations, there's no almost waste, right? So we actually try so hard to put every dollar back into the work that we do. There are some government-run entities. They may not be in the same position. At least, maybe that's just my opinion. Like when we have nonprofits like ours, we are able to have a better way to focus on the rescue, rehabilitation, rehoming, and this makes it kind of easier for us to understand the model. So my question for you is, with how is it crucial for organizations like Brandywine Valley to remain nonprofit, and how does that impact our ability to provide the highest level of care?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it perfectly stated in that as a nonprofit, we have the ability to always ensure that everything we do, every service we provide, every aspect of what we spend, it's all tied to the mission, and so that allows us to be nimble. It allows us to be able to ensure that we're stewarding, our community's support directly in a way that directly is meaningful to them and is meaningful to our actual goals and the impact we want to make. You made the point about, animal shelters that are run by municipalities. There are certainly examples out there of a specific municipality that is, I think embracing animal welfare well, but you are dependent on sort of the direction the wind is blowing for your local government in that way. As a nonprofit, again, you have the control and the power to say, this is our mission, this is what we care about as an organization, this is what our community cares about, and this is how we're spending our funds, and this is how we're always staying true to our mission and kind of being able to control the actions of your organization now.
From the many people, as you know, my background is I was born and raised in Turkey for 25 years, and in the last 26 years I'm here. That gives me a broader perspective of the issues, not just with the nonprofits, with the animals world and what we do with the rescue, but also other social issues, economic issues. But I think this is, to me, it's like extremely important for people to understand. Not every part of the world is similar to what we have in the United States. So people may criticize what we have in different things, but one thing that we do well is these nonprofit organizations that's supported by the community that we live in. Now, that kind of ownership in the society that makes it, okay, while you live in this community and it's not just you pay your taxes, but you take responsibilities. This responsibility includes it includes our charity involvement. And I'm not just talking about financial contribution or donation, but I'm talking about time and different ways to actually access to different resources to help them. My office, we do a lot of things with Brandywine Valley, and then they want to get involved. Our employees here, there's a team of group of people. They team up, and they spend their Saturday when we have those the transfers from different states to help them, and it's amazing. It brings so many. It makes it so much more meaningful, but it's not the same in every part of the world. Now, I think they will get there, so I think we need to be a better example for those countries as well. But why do you think that we are much better from your position? Because you, like the difference, I guess, like I'm just a volunteer on the board, but you guys are doing the actual work. Yeah. So you are the chief operating officer, and your prior job to this was also nonprofit, and it's involved with the same field. So you have a much better understanding of this. So how are we going to keep this up so that we can actually the innovation can be there, and then we can keep this advancement that we have today, and what other countries can learn from this model.
Sure. Oh, it's certainly a complex topic, and I can say from my perspective, I've been, to your point, I've been in animal welfare since I was 18 years old. My entire adult life, worked in different parts of our country. No matter where I've ever been in our country, and when I was doing consultation work, traveling across the country within this field, the through line is, I think, that the value that our country has placed on pets, recognizing that dogs and cats are family. And I think our society here in this country, you can see it in the amount of money that is spent, on pet care.
Right.
You can see it in the demand from our community on the expectations of access to vet care, on the demands of what an animal shelter should provide to the pets in their care. Clearly, our society has said dogs and cats are not just property. They're not just commodity. They're family. They're living, breathing, feeling, emotional animals that make our lives better. And so I think it's that ethic in this country that really can separate us. We still certainly have, from my vantage point, I'm always looking at what more can we do, for our country. But to your point, I think that example of pets not being a thing, but as a
part of the
member
family
of our families,
right.
And why that makes our lives better, I think is the huge thing that separates us.
Well, I mean, that's something that people really need to understand, and I think we have a really good, for this country, I think we have a very good understanding of that. But what I see in different countries, like back in Turkey, for example, they want to help the animals, those animals who are stray, but not in a structural way that we have here. And the adoption rate is so little. So I actually try to kind of see if we can get some numbers on these people to see, like, how many dogs do they have in order for them to actually, do certain things on the street and feed these homeless animals, I'm going to call them. And this is like, it's at a level where, like, you may be in one of the best part of town, and then there are like 12 dogs sitting outside. And when I explain them, we don't have that problem here. We don't, right? Yeah. So the only stray animals that I know that I see every once in a while, I have 2 foxes that they visit me regularly, and then some rabbits in the backyard. And every once in a while, but now I'm closer to the city, we have deer. But they're there and they're not there. It's not like many of these street animals, they just live on the street. So, but then someone is feeding them, and it creates a lot of issues for those individuals, kids, elderly. So while we are trying to do this in a right way, and we have the example, so I also want, this event is also translated in different languages, and I want to actually reach out to those countries to better understand, hey, here's how we do it. So this is something that we are really good at. So you can actually just copy what we have pretty much. But this again, without the ownership of adopting those animals, you can expect everything from the government. And that's why, one of the work that we do together is so meaningful, is because we are not expecting much from the government. So from our total budget, how much do we get from the government? Like percentage-wise is probably very little, right?
It's small, yeah.
Like less than maybe 1%. So this is all coming from the society. So, and it's not like it has to be like so much, like everyone has to give X amount, whatever they're able to. And that awareness actually makes a huge impact with what we do. Now, one of the other reasons probably I got involved with Brandywine SPCA is we are a no-kill shelter. Can you elaborate that for people who are listening to us, why and how we are able to do this no-kill shelter status, and what it means for us, and how much work that means also for us?
For sure. So the term no kill, within the shelter industry, it's a bit of a polarizing term. There's a couple different, I think, meanings behind it. But what we, always stand by is that, no kill is really identifying shelters that are developing programs to where the animals in your care are safe and that no animal loses their life purely due to space or time. And so any medically safe and behaviorally, friendly animal, they're safe and they're not at risk due to space and time. Now, for us, that always looks like, if you're looking at numbers, for instance, the industry says to achieve a no-kill status, you need to be saving over 90% of all the animals that come through your doors. We're not really driven by specific numbers as much as we're driven by just simply what's right for the animals and the people in our community. So what that means is we are putting that much more time and care and resources into every pet that comes into our care, with the ethic that they should all have the right and the guarantee to be in our care, find a home, no matter how long it takes, And so without that time limit, without that kind of restriction on, well, gosh, the pet's been here this long or that long, that means that we are standing by our pets for as long as it takes to find them a home. We are working on their behavioral and medical profiles to make sure that we're keeping them healthy and behaviorally sound, helping them be the best versions of themselves while they're with us. And sometimes that they come in and they get adopted in a week. Right. But sometimes that means that we're holding on to them for maybe even a year, if it means that this is a pet that's waiting for that right household. I think our community, we know they want that. We know our communities, again, back to that valuing of pets in our culture here. We know our community really demands that if an animal shows up in an animal shelter, it should be a safety net. It should be a safe haven for the animal. And that's everything we do is built around making sure that the second a pet comes into our care, A, they're safe, B, they're provided the highest care possible, and honestly, C, they're with us as short as possible, which means everything we're doing is geared towards their behavioral and medical health and then connecting them back to a family so that we can help the next one and help the next one and help the next one.
All right. So that those challenges, it comes with its own, not just resources, but especially financial resources. Yeah. So that's why part of the reason that I also want to discuss what we do today with the organization for people to better understand. So then, it's what happens in some cases, they have a good understanding for a couple months and then all of a sudden they forget about it. So then, there has to be constant reminder of what's being done, because in many cases, like when I'm at home on a Saturday or Sunday, if I'm not doing anything, and if I know that there's a way that I can actually use my time, then I know someone else is doing it. So if I'm not doing it, someone else is doing it. But then there are times that you don't have those resources, right? So that's one of the reasons. Okay, so if I can actually help on the financial side is one thing. My time is another thing. Making sure the awareness in my organization, that's one of the other thing that I do with other CEOs that I meet, other organizations. Hey, can you guys actually partner with Brandywine SPCA? We do similar stuff with Food Bank and also YWCA, but with Brandywine, because of my my position there, so we probably do a little bit more. So and I think I do like the animals a little bit more. So I know some people are not going to be happy with this, but it is what it is. So sure. Well, that's because they are also not able to voice out their opinions, right? So or they're not able to voice out their issues. Where even you have a couple puppies, right?
At this moment in my time, I have 2 human children that need my time.
Okay,
but
so
it's really weird.
So we are
not having pets in my
puppies
house
for
right
you
now.
then. So
it's
after
very strange.
After this session,
yeah,
right?
Believe me.
I was checking your Facebook profile, so I thought there were two.
Yeah, we've had pets our whole lives. After my daughter was born 2 years ago, we lost our last one shortly after, and we just emotionally haven't really fully recovered.
We'll hook you up with
we'll get there.
Brandywine.
I think I have some access to, yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine like not having a dog in my house.
Weird.
Just like there were 3 months after Buddy, and it was just probably the worst time of my life.
I wouldn't recommend it. If my daughter was, I mean, she's 2 now, and she's getting to the place where I think we could maybe handle a pet soon. But
right. So I think you guys are ready. So Christmas is coming. Now I do want to go to our new project, and there are a couple other things that I'm going to come back to that. But with the new operation that we have, since I got when I was talking to Adam a couple of years ago, this was more on the Newcastle side for me at least, and I knew we have other facilities in Delaware, but I didn't know that we were going to grow so fast. So it's growing faster than my own company. So like United Medical.
Yeah.
So and United Medical is a for-profit company, so you would expect them to also grow. And that's great, right? So we have Harrington and New Jersey operations, and I was part of both of those from the beginning. These organizations, they were also nonprofits, and they probably didn't have the same, perhaps, expertise that we have, and our operation team, Adam, yourself, and other individuals who are part of the business office, that makes a huge difference. And then I know that we were able to do a good transition with these organizations. Now, how do we actually decide to make that move for this new organization? If there's someone who's approaching us, what's the way of processing that, whether or not that's the right fit for us?
Sure. Yeah, I think in both cases, with both Harrisburg and the Austin Animal Center in Lindenwold, the Animal Adoption Center in Lindenwold, Adam, our CEO, I think he has certainly carved out a reputation as being someone that can, make an impact and stabilize a community and a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So with what he's done, here with our organization here in Delaware and Pennsylvania, I think that's how that initial kind of phone call is made to Adam, to our team, to identify their need. So both in Harrisburg and again at AAC, mm-hmm. that need to stabilize their nonprofits, recognizing the success we've had with Brandywine Valley SPCA, and whether there's an opportunity to bring that success to those communities. So, in terms of how, those decisions are made, I think, it's all an assessment of, those two organizations, what's their infrastructure, whether it be financial, whether it be the team in place, whether it be the community, and how ready the community is for change. Mm-hmm. I think in Harrisburg, that was one thing that was incredibly apparent and really impactful, was how much the community was almost driving a lot of the need for change. And so with Harrisburg, the success was almost immediate, because I think the community was so hungry for change there. And so I think in both cases, it's first and foremost, there's that leaning from our organization to, we always want to expand our reach. We know we're the ones that are going to get the call, mm-hmm. if there's someone to help out there, if there's a community that needs help. So in getting that call, we want to always do more, because we know that doing more means that the next community and the next pet and the next person are benefiting from the success that we've been able to generate. I'm sure at some point we'll have to start saying enough's enough, but it's been really rewarding to know that we can start to spread our model here in this region to make that much more impact.
What immediate changes do we actually see in terms of improvements that we have with these organizations that we took over?
There's first just an immediate elevation in animal care standards, an immediate elevation in how we are making this accessible to the community. Being a resource to the community, being a resource that you can trust. That's a big thing that we put in all of our work is, we're transparent. We're going to have conversations. We're going to meet you where you are. We're going to be non-judgmental. and we're going to make sure that you can access what you need, whether that's adopting from us, whether that is supporting you to keep your pet through low-cost care, through food, whatever it is. I think that immediate impact in Harrisburg and in New Jersey is that, again, that raising that bar immediately to a standard that we know our community wants. And it's a standard that, is set, again, for the care the animals receive, but also in how we are responding to our community to make all of that accessible, to not put up roadblocks and boundaries around if you can access adoption, if you can access low-cost care, really making that immediately accessible, but doing so in a way that also, I think, again, stewards the resources more responsibly. So doing so in a way that also values the money that people are putting towards this work, the community's donating towards it. It has to then be stewarded responsibly. So everyone wants that to be done compassionately, and that's what we bring. But we also bring, I think, a professional way of doing it so that it's sustainable. And I think that sustainability is also the key.
So when we were about to be done with the Harrington and New Jersey, I remember getting an email from the leadership, from Adam and you guys. Now we have a potential new service line in DC with the federal contract to manage animal services. So I knew that we were kind of almost not fully done with these new takeovers, and then all of a sudden there's a bigger opportunity for us to be able to make an impact at the national level. So this contract is a little bit different than what we do today. That's at least my understanding. If it's different, then you need to educate me. So can you explain why this contract is different than what we already do? Is it something maybe taking us to a different level as a nonprofit organization, and how we are going to actually make the reach and impact from Brandywine Valley standpoint?
Yeah, so I think it's all the same services, other than to your point, we are contracted with DC Health to not only provide animal shelter services, to not only provide our medical services to the community and all of the resources we offer all of our communities. We're also contracted to provide field services, and so that is certainly different in that we've already had members of our team on a frozen lake saving a deer, up in a tree, saving, other pets. And so those field services operations, having dispatch, having animal control officers out in the community, we do some of that in Pennsylvania through our animal protection department, but on the scale in which we have to operate that in Washington, D.C., that's certainly a unique aspect of our operations now. And just, bringing that, all of what we do to, the nation's capital, brings about that unique aspect of, you are in this highly populated metropolitan area. And so the pets and people may run into some of the same problems everywhere, but you're in Washington, D.C., you have all of the disparity around, socioeconomic statuses, all of the just, population that's there if you've got a deer on a pond, we're reaching out. You've got someone who needs low-cost services, they're here to help. And so the range of services being offered to the hustle and bustle of DC is certainly unique, but it's
well, because part of it is because we are not in major cities, right? So like being in this almost like an inner city situation in DC. So is it different from the public responses from the community, like in terms of organizing everyone all together versus we are in the suburbs.
Sure.
Even if you are closer to big cities, that's not the same. So what types of challenges it's bringing to us?
Yeah, I think one thing that we decided right away was we know we want to bring people in that have a background that has experience in that realm. So we've been fortunate to bring on leadership to DC that does come with a background of working in an environment where there's millions of people, and all of the pet problems that exist whenever you're gathering that many people together. So first and foremost, I think that's been really beneficial to have, our COO there, Aaron, comes from a background where he's used to running field services. He's used to running a shelter that is, experiencing a lot of those, kind of demands on the system, that come through a highly populated area. And so, to that point, I think it's interesting. You recognize the work's all very much the same. You just have that, again, that almost compressed, you're within this large metropolitan area, things aren't as spread out. So you have, I think, that much more of kind of just the demand for service is always there. And, dogs and cats are going to behave the same no matter where they are. You're just going to run into more people and animal problems the more we're crowded on top of each other,
Right.
And so I think that a lot of the calls are the same, a lot of the needs are the same. You just have a volume, that is certainly higher, and you have, I think, that many more intersections of pets, people, but then to DC also wildlife. Now that since we handle field services,
Sure.
the wildlife aspect, like what you're managing with in your backyard, we've got those calls, which are certainly unique.
You know how I got hooked up to those guys, the foxes, after Buddy passed? I had a lot of leftover dog food. So, and then I see them on the security camera once in a while. So, and they come at a certain time of the night. So, and I made the mistake of start feeding them.
Yeah.
So it was, then I started actually watching them. So I was kind of like stalking them almost. Are they going to eat it? Are they going to eat it right? But now they're too comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
So,
it's slippery, I know.
There are two of them. And, here's what happens. So being involved with an organization like Brandywine, knowing how much I care about animals. So then when it's a fox, I'm finding myself time to time to see, hey, like, do I have to do the same thing? Like, how do I actually process this? I know they are wild animals, but they're in the city. Yeah. So I'm 2 miles from the inner city, so not that far from where we are. So, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll take that risk. The risk is this. So Joshua, my new puppy, he knows they are there. Sometimes, when we are sitting outside, I see them coming in. Joshua goes crazy. There's that little risk of them kind of clashing. Totally. But still, I know that they're looking for food, and how do we say no to that is not in my head. It just doesn't happen.
I get it.
So, and that's why we have to do what we are doing on a regular basis, and hopefully, at some point, even for those, there may be some solution. Those animals, there may be some solution, because if they're in the city, that means we probably already invaded their living space. So the foxes are not coming from some crazy places. They were here, so then we just build on it. So there has to be a way to figure that out, and I'm still personally struggling with that. So doing the right thing is sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not.
Absolutely, it's all extremely complex and nuanced.
Now, speaking of doing the right thing, you have a lot of education experience. Why did you choose nonprofits as an employer?
Yeah, I way back when I was supposed to be a firefighter when I was in high school. That was my whole lifelong goal for childhood and everything. It was all things firefighting. I ruptured 2 discs in my lower back when I was 18 in the fire academy, so I had to kind of kiss that dream goodbye in Southern California. It's just like becoming a professional athlete as far as how hard it is to make it. So we had adopted a couple dogs in my time as a kid, and my mom always instilled in me the love for animals. So I got a job cleaning kennels at my local animal shelter as I was kind of trying to discover what else to do with my life. And kind of that realization you talked about before, I had that realization just as an 18-year-old of the immense need. So here I am just making $10 an hour, cleaning kennels, walking dogs, helping members of the public adopt dogs. It certainly struck me right away how normal these dogs were in the shelter system. You know, they were
Right.
their pets, just like the pets at my house, and how much of a need there was. So just, you know, long story short, age 18, immediately realizing the immense need for people to know about this societal problem and for someone to do something about it. I fell in love with the impact that you could make every day on every, you know, the animals in your care, seeing how I could make a family complete by helping show them the pet that would, you know,
Right.
fit their household. And then years later, I immersed myself in it and, you know, worked my way up different organizations. And I've always said getting hurt at the Fire Academy was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it's brought me to this industry that needs so much change and, you know, needs people to work together. The animals aren't going to solve it for themselves. And so we need people to work well and collaborate with each other. So
Absolutely.
I'll always be in the nonprofit animal welfare sphere, because it's where we can make that change at a national and potentially global level.
Absolutely. And, you know, we want to be there while we are doing all those with you guys. Now, speaking of making impact, meaningful impacts, we have some signature events from Brandywine Valley. And then we also have some routine, regular events that we do. I know we have one big one coming up at the end of April.
Yep.
So can we talk about those upcoming events?
Yeah, so Walk for Paws, like you mentioned, is April 26th. It's a really fun event. So it's a bring your family, bring your pup. If you want to run the 5K, run the 5K. If you want to walk it with your dog, go for it. Or if you just want to hang out, and we've got awesome vendors, we've got games. There's just kind of stuff for the whole family at Walk for Paws. So that's an incredible event. Like I said, it's on the 26th of April. It's at the West Goshen Community Park. So that's a huge one. It's our biggest outdoor fundraiser, you know, community fundraiser of the year. So we certainly want, you know, we're fundraising for it, but we're inviting folks to come participate. It's a really fun day. You don't have to be just a 5K runner to have fun there. So that's the big one. You know, we have, as you said, we have adoption events going on really almost all the time. Next week is National Adoption Week through PetSmart. So it's going to be name your own price for large dog adoptions at all of our campuses. That is the 28th and 29th of March. I'm going to make sure I've got that right. 29th and 30th are the dates for that. So those adoption events are, you know, you can come adopt year round from us, but we certainly try to make sure we highlight parts of the year, really, you know, encourage folks to come adopt, to remember that adoption is the best option to get a pet. So those are some big events. You know, I can't not talk about our gala. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
This year, actually, I'm on the hosting committee again.
Nice.
So that means I have to, you know, go after all of my friends and employees to make sure they all show up.
Yeah.
And that event actually is a great event. So like I do enjoy that.
For sure.
Like being able to have some fun is it's okay. So it's not not a bad thing, right?
Permission to for a moment.
I know
stop.
you have done a lot. I remember you like you guys probably are not enjoying those events at the time of the event as much as we do, because I know you are managing all these. Like I remember you just sitting or standing on the back, just looking at the room and to make sure that, you know, everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. You have a huge team that you are managing, and you know those are not easy. It's one of those where you then appreciate more. Yes, for profit is all good, fine. People are able to, you know, do whatever they need to do for their own living. But then when you take that and then put it into something more meaningful with this type of organization, and like that's like a signature event. I mean, it's like almost. It's also financially one of the most impactful one that we have. So, but then we have the rescue events. I know my office, as I mentioned earlier, they participate on a regular basis. You know, sometimes I'm not there, and then they still have the ownership here, and then they have their own team, and they show up. Awesome. I was there last, I think it was 6 months ago. I was there. Now, talk to me about this, you know, animals that we rescue from the other states, like when we transport them here. what's the reason for that? What's the actual need for that? Why are they not able to do it there? And how are we able to actually handle that much work here locally?
Yeah, for sure. We talked about, I think how advanced our country is in the sphere of animal welfare, but it's not, there are communities that are certainly farther along than others. And so there are still communities, even within our country, that do not have the resources, that do not have the community buy-in when it comes to funding for their animal shelters, when it comes to the access to spaying and neutering, when it comes to access to affordable vet care. There are still parts of our country that certainly still do need a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that, you have still areas where there is overbreeding,
Mm-hmm.
and there are areas of population growth within dogs and cats that outnumber the resources and the people that are reaching out to actually adopt those animals. So there's an immediate need in parts of our country to find life-saving transportation for those animals to reach parts of the country that do have access to all of that. So for us, we know that there are communities that still rely on us to be able to literally fly, animals here to the Northeast that can have their lives saved and also help families here again, be whole with the new adoption. So it's a win-win. That community gets to know that they're able to save that many more lives by having those animals come to us. And for us, our priority is always our local animals. We would never transport animals out of state at the expense of our local animals. But that's why part of what makes us so special is that we don't think they're mutually exclusive either. We can commit to our local animals while also reaching out and helping other communities that are farther away, that are less resourced. And then everybody wins. Our local animals sometimes even benefit from some of the excitement of these life-saving flights. Folks get really energized by that initiative to save these pups from other areas or these cats, and that drives folks to our shelters. And whether it's a out-of-state pet getting adopted or one of our local pets getting adopted, everyone kind of benefits from that. So it's an exciting thing to be a part of. And I can say before I joined Brandywine Valley SPCA, nationally, this industry looks up to Brandywine to continue those transports and to be as welcoming as we are of an organization. We are a beacon to so many organizations that don't have what we have. And there are organizations that aren't as willing to extend themselves to help other communities as we are. So I've seen it from the other end. And so it's really I've been really proud to now be here where I can see all that happening in motion.
No, that's great. Now, one of the other things that I want to mention, so, this being able to work as one society and taking the ownership of different issues, not expecting everything from the government. I just want to kind of just mention this, and I don't know if you know this, I know Adam does, but when I was actually going to the main board, the board of directors at SPCA, so I was leaving from the advisor board position, and then Adam asked me if there would be someone who would be actually willing to fill that position. Now we have a couple judges in our board and some state elected officials. So I actually called Sarah McBride. She's a good friend of mine, and she has been on the show several times, but not knowing what her involvement was with, I don't even know if she has an animal. Now she's actually part-time in DC. So I was always thinking like, okay, so she can maybe help us in our DC operations, but this happened after she accepted the position. So as soon as I asked her, she said yes, not knowing how much work it's going to be.
Yeah.
So this was when she was the state senator. Then when she became the congresswoman, Adam and I, we were like, is she going to leave us type of, situation? And I call her, she's like, are you crazy? No, like, unless you guys kick me out, I'm going to stay. So, that kind of that's amazing to me, like from our individual points, levels, looking at what state officials, like seeing judges in those settings, they take their time off and then they coordinate, organize, manage these meetings. I think this is a great way of giving back to the society and taking ownership. Again, I keep saying the ownership, but that's where it comes. Accountability and ownership is not just about paying taxes.
Yeah.
That's a lot more than that, and it's a lot more than financials. And so we'll keep doing what we are doing. So now, if you were to give one message to those people who are watching us right now, in terms of importance of the supporting animal welfare, what would that be? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but probably you have a really good answer for that.
Oh, no pressure. Yeah, no, I mean, I think if I think about, what would I want folks to really kind of take home with them as far as a message? I mean, I think, we've talked about ownership in terms of like owning the fact that this problem exists, but let's talk about really like how you can be a part of it. Because I think that's one thing that I feel like there's still maybe a misconception around what the animal welfare quote unquote problem really looks like. I think what we really want folks to really see in their mind is that first and foremost, our shelters, our locations, they're not the scary, sad, intimidating place that I think some people have in their minds when they think of an animal shelter. So when people are picturing this problem, I want them to picture it a little differently. We really believe we're community centers. We want people to come to us at the first sign that they may be struggling with their pet, before they're desperate and need to give their pet up. Come to us. We're not going to be judgmental. We're not going to turn you away. We're going to find resources for you. Right. If you want to come, if you're looking for a new pet to adopt, remember adoption. Remember adoption, and don't think of the pets that are at the shelter as these broken, abused animals. We don't want folks to think that, well, I can't help because they won't help me, or because the pets are at the shelter, they're the mistreated ones, they're the abused ones. The vast majority of pets in shelters are no different than the dog that's on your couch right now, or the cat that's cuddling on your lap. They were that pet the day before they came to the shelter, right. And so that's a huge thing, is I want folks to reimagine what a shelter really should look like and feel like, because we pride ourselves on it being a welcoming, bright, friendly place where the pets that are in our care are they're not broken, they're not different, they're ready to be a pet again the second they leave the shelter. And I guess lastly, the people component of that, we really believe the majority of people are good. I think it's really common in the line of work of animal lovers, to kind of vilify people and say that people are the ones ruining, animals. And I love working with animals because I don't like people, and we can joke, but we want people to also get out of that mindset, because we do really want to welcome that many more people into our doors. Right. Because we will always need the help. People are going to have to help each other. So whether you're not sure how to contribute because you don't want to be faced with the sadness of the shelter, I promise you we can make it inspiring. Whether you're not coming in because you're going to feel judged, or because, no, that's not it. We really believe in the goodness of everybody, and we want to, have folks have a different image when it comes to the pets and the people involved. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest things I could say.
So, working with you in our board meetings, kind of limited, and some of the events, seeing you and interacting, I knew this was going to be different, getting to know what you do, who you are, and what you think in the work that we do. At least for me, it was a great conversation.
Awesome.
And taking time off for this. I know your phone is going off. Like, I thought I was bad with my phone, but yours is worse.
All the blinking, yeah.
So your people need more of your time than I guess mine, and that's amazing. And thank you for joining us today. Yeah. So again, this was an extremely important discussion for people who are watching us. They may already participating. They may want to participate. As you said, there's no shaming in this. They can find help, but they also can help us. From the personal standpoint, I find healing and purpose through the work that I do with Brandywine SPCA. And this is the way that supporting animal welfare is more than just saving pets, but building a more humane and connected community. And that's, we all live together, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my understanding from you is reassuring that this is why you are there, and that's great. Well, thank you again. And on the Brandywine Valley social media pages, you'll find a lot of ways to actually interact with the organization. Our upcoming events are posted now with the April event, Walk for Paws, right? So we have teams started. I know Ethan started one team for United Medical.
Right.
I donated at the board meeting. I was about 35 minutes late, so that was my way of asking for apology.
We'll
so
take it.
thank you for joining us again, and then we'll be back with our Bariatric Friday at 3 p.m. Thanks. There, so you can let me know when it's time.